very overwhelming, but it's everybody has said such wonderful things about Oma. I wanted to share a few thoughts that I started jotting down a little bit last night, not knowing I was going to speak till last night. And so there's a Mishnah that says in the end of Makos that says Rabbi Hanani ben Akasha Omer. It's a famous Mishnah which we say after Pirkei Avos at the end of each parak of Pirkei Avos. When a Rav gives a lecture, they say that if they want to say Kaddish. And the Mishnah says Rabbi Hanani ben Akasha Omer Ratza Kadosh Baruch Hu l'Zakas Yisrael. That Kadosh Baruch Hu Hashem wanted to give merit to Bnei Yisrael, and then what did he do? He says Lafikach Hir Behem Torah Mitzvos. He gave them a lot of Torah and mitzvos. Remember, as it says, Hashem chofetz l'man sidko yagdil Torah v'yad. Hashem desired in order for the righteousness of Bnei Yisrael, and he wanted to grow the Torah and to glorify it. And there's an interesting Rambam over there that says a very fascinating thing. And the Rambam says that if there's one mitzvah a person has to do, only a person has to do to be zoche, to chay olam haba, to do one thing, one mitzvah, out of all the 613 mitzvahs, if he does that perfectly, without any other ulterior motives, without any other thoughts in his mind, just doing it the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way, then he'll be zochet the chay olam haba. That's what the Rambam says. And he says that's why they gave so many mitzvahs, because it's almost impossible for a person not to find one mitzvah that he will be successful in. And when I was thinking about Oma, so I was thinking what one characteristic, one mitzvah that she had, which was mentioned by everybody here already, but at least I could just tell you some of my thoughts, was, we call it, let's say, her mitzvah of tzedakah. Now, when you talk about tzedakah, tzedakah doesn't have to be monetary, it doesn't have to be cash, it can be non-cash as well. You know, intangible assets are also considered assets. So what she's giving, when Oma gave her kindness and her charity, her chesed to everybody, was paramount. And there were just some thoughts that I had remembered, specific examples of this. I can't remember a single time when I went to visit her. The only time was on Shabbos, but any other time that I went to visit her, there was never a time when I didn't leave with something in my hand. Doesn't matter what it was. Anything.
Oh, what a mouth.
Jewelry, the jewelry.
Yes, I have it in Baltimore. Bring it back.
Nuts.
Anything, it doesn't matter what it was, whether it was popcorn or cookies or fruit or even empty containers. I used to come back with it. It doesn't matter. I thought when we were delivering her food, we were making food later on, delivering her these things, I figured, okay, I'll give her food and I won't get anything back. She still had something to give back to me. The only time was Shabbos because we couldn't carry it. That was it. And of course, everybody knows, everybody remembers all those things I used to give for the soldiers, all the toys she used to prepare those times. Those are things that she never liked to take. She was always a giver. She was always a giver. And one of the things she used to always tell me every time we called her on Friday, you know, one of the things she was dreading when as she was getting older, she just didn't want to be a burden on her children. She used to always tell me every week, and I said, really, your children you're not going to be a burden on them because that's what they want to do. I mean, you give so much to them, they understand the same thing that they want to give back to you. Just a few more thoughts. I mean, obviously, when she went to go to the hospital to visit Opa that time, when he was in the hospital, so everybody, all the nurses were so excited because they all got the cookies that they were waiting. They were so happy that she was coming. It was so exciting. Even when Opa was in the hospital, all the cookies were there. They were so excited. I remember, you know, sleeping. If this goes back to about over 35 years ago, I think, when Sarah and I used to sleep over at Oma's house
Same time?
for Shabbos. We used to go. We used to go get up. Opa used to wake us up about 2 hours before Hashkama to tell it's time for Hashkama. We came back from Hashkama, and lo, where do we go? We walk into the kitchen. Who's there? Oma's there, buttering the bread, buttering the water challah with the bread, and putting the sardines on there. And it was such a wonderful feeling. We knew it was right there. It was so exciting for us growing up at that time. The other thing is taking a little bit later on. I remember. We were privileged to have Oma visit us in Baltimore 2 times. She came down 2 times. One time for Binyamin's bris, and one time for Yehuda's bar mitzvah. She came down, and I remember by Binyamin's bris, which is over 15 years ago. It was in the wintertime. It was in February, and by the Shalom Zachar, we had in our house. We had set up the food in our house Friday night for the Shalom Zachar, and so our neighbors, the Zemras, they were close friends of ours, still close friends of ours. They invited us over for meals so we can eat there and then just walk right back to our house. And so Oma was there, and we had the meal over there, and they had at that time a young child. Their youngest child was a 5 or 6-year-old boy. His name was Shalom, and he was a sociable guy. And he started schmoozing with Oma. They had a conversation, and it turned out in their conversation he found out that they both shared the same birthday. Both June 7th was their birthday. So Oma was so excited about it that she has the same day. And I remember from that point on, every single year after that, when I called Oma up on her birthday, maybe the last year or so wasn't the same, but for the surf for 13 years, she always used to tell me, don't forget, wish happy birthday for Shalom, when I called her up to wish her happy birthday. She always had that caringness and that kindness that she wanted to give to the other person. And finally, it just happened a few years ago. It was on Rosh Hashanah when people used to, they always used to have people blow shofar for them. It was Mark Law and Eliu, different people used to blow shofar. There was one time, I think it was about 3 or so years ago, I don't remember exactly, that they couldn't get a Baltikea to blow. And so we didn't know what to do. We were waiting after shul. We thought maybe Harvey Bernstein would do it. He said he wasn't up to it because he had just blown 100 kolos that time. So I offered, and I don't know how to blow, but I figured I'd go in, and I walked into the house, and you have that, I don't remember, the shofar has that little hole in it, that small one. So, I mean, I have other strengths. Blowing shofar, I really didn't have things. So I started going, and it just didn't go. I was going, just only hot air was coming out and going out. I'm almost sitting there waiting. She's waiting, not patiently, you know, she has her machzor in her hand, just sitting and watching. And it just wouldn't go. And finally, you know, if I'd have been embroiderers, they would have thrown me out on my face for that. But finally, I was able to mush it together. After a little bit, I got some sort of sounds to come out. And leave it to Oma. She said, "Oh, that was very nice." You know, we should all cherish the memories that we have with Oma. You know, it's a year, obviously, since she passed. But there's always such wonderful memories that we will take and qualities that she has which we can transform into our own lives and use them as we're raising our families or as in our relationships with our spouses or children and friends and things like that. And hopefully, if we do that, that will certainly bring a nachas for Oma upstairs, and thereby bring nachas to everybody. It'll be a source of nachas, and we should be zocher, and we should be shomish aliyah, and should be abiyas gold tzedek and everybody.